The War of the World, aliens, ice cubes, or I suppose that's just Ice Cube. Because once again, we have an adaptation of one of our most classic stories written by H.G. Wells, adapted to a radio show by Orson Welles, leading to mass hysteria of people thinking there was an actual alien invasion happening. This time, the only hysteria will be over the things that Amazon could have spent the budget of this movie on. But there have been a bunch of different adaptations, and particularly film adaptations of this movie over the years, including the 2005 version with Tom Cruise, directed by Steven Spielberg, which I remember being pretty forgettable. Like, I remember the experience of watching it in a theater, and the person I watched it with, I don't really remember much of it. Science absolutely ended up being the more memorable aliens coming to Earth and trying to take over the world in the 2000s movie. But now, 20 years after that Spielberg installment, to maintain some kind of IP rights, I'm sure, we have Prime Video's loose adaptation of that original story. Adapted for the modern age with modern tech and Ice Cube. Which is honestly why when I heard about this movie and saw a poster for it, I thought it was a continuation of a bit from the studio.
The Kool-Aid Man will be voiced by Ice Cube! Oh yeah, baby!
How was I supposed to know it was serious? The poster doesn't even look real. The movie's all told via screen capture, and that's when the movie is essentially just a computer screen being recorded. There's a couple moments that break it, but it's essentially just a webcam view of Ice Cube and his screen the whole time. Now, this didn't instantly have to be bad. It absolutely was, but it didn't have to be. I know a lot of people were clowning on it because of that format, but there are some really great screen capture movies out there. I think Searching is the undisputed champion of like the full, immersive version of this. Spree kind of does an in-between mix, and Spree's, it's so fun. They've implemented it pretty well in a few different horror movies like Unfriended. So the problem with this movie is not the format, it's literally just everything outside that format, including Ice Cube, who's going to deliver some of the most lines you've ever experienced. Honestly, that does end up being a compliment at some point, because the way he's delivering things is at least entertaining to me, so that we're in a weird in-between here. There will be so much dub work in this movie for the moments they knew people weren't actively going to be looking at the screen, so they have Ice Cube's just horrendously unenthusiastic voice work, just literally just saying what's happening. And I don't think Ice Cube's a bad actor. He's horrible in this, but he's incredible in 21 Jump Street. This just isn't that. Boys in the Hood? But Ice Cube aside, who does somehow end up being a highlight of this movie, it's probably my favorite part. My other favorite part, which I will build into later, is how they managed to shoehorn Amazon, the company, into this movie. This is not just an Amazon Prime funded movie. This is an Amazon Prime saved movie. Like, you wait. It is absurd. I don't think there's really any point in going deeper in the spoiler-free details here. It's Ice Cube. He works for the DHS. He stalks the shit out of his kids with the tech, and they actually still speak to him for some reason. He's lost his wife. He listens to her voice messages. I'm sure that contributes to why he's so overprotective of them. But yeah, it's not good. There are many moments that are so bad that they become funny, but then it gets really boring for a good chunk. But there's still some giggles to be had here and there. But this isn't a comedy, but I will say that it mostly hits the scale of, if you're going to be bad, at least be stupid. I just don't think it was intentional. But honestly, the way this man ends up being surprised by so many of the tech advancements and things mentioned in this movie makes so little sense in a post-Snowden world, especially when he's supposed to be one of the most high-ranking DHS guys. But wow, guys, all this talk about internet security makes me think of today's sponsor, Incogni. Look, we all know that it's easier than ever for people to find your information online. And a lot of those people want to do some very bad things with that information, but there are ways to slow them down and get the information out of the hands of the people that want to sell it. Every day, online data brokers are collecting and selling your information. Sometimes this just means getting more obvious spam calls and emails, but other times you could end up with more targeted attacks on you and your family. Especially in the US, where people searching sites are just constantly popping up with detailed personal profiles for people to exploit, because these profiles make it so much easier for them to target the people that are most likely to fall for certain scams. You might feel confident spotting these scams as they pop up, but can you say the same for your most vulnerable family members, especially with AI in the mix? Incogni can help put a stop to this by scanning the web for places that have your information and send requests on your behalf to have them removed. And if you happen to notice your information somewhere before Incogni can get to it, you can send them a custom request to have it removed, and they'll take care of that back and forth. But usually once I notice I'm getting an uptick in spam, I check my dashboard, and Incogni's already working on a fresh batch of removal requests. I don't have to do a thing because they're constantly just searching on my behalf and handling any objections. And it can be that easy for you too. Just make an account, give Incogni the okay to work on your behalf, and they'll keep you updated as they handle all that tiresome back and forth. So check out Incogni.com/Amanda or use code Amanda to get 60% off an annual plan and let Incogni Cogni take care of the headaches of data removal. But let's dive on into those spoilers. As mentioned, Ice Cube here, Mr. Cube, is a top DHS agent monitoring a bunch of different security systems. He gets a call from this lady at NASA showing him that there's a bunch of crazy storms and atmospheric phenomenons happening all around the world, and he's just like, not now, I'm busy.
He busy with Korean shit.
Sorry, I couldn't help it. But apparently he's busy trying to find the location of someone known as the Disruptor, an online anonymous type person threatening to release information about some program called Goliath. But all the information that they're mentioning is stuff that Snowden already exposed, but people are just so concerned with whatever this guy has getting out. But Mr. Cube here thinks he's found him by going through the data on the video as if it would be that easy to find someone they've apparently been hunting for a very long time. But sure, get that search warrant. But in between all this genuine government espionage, he's just flat out using city cameras and drones to stalk his daughter. Literally hacked into the surveillance on her fridge. Now he is trying to justify it with her being pregnant, and he thinks that the baby daddy is dumb, and the baby daddy, Roderick here, he's an Amazon delivery driver. Yeah, right now he's a dumbass, but just you wait. Ice also has a son that he's been trying to convince to join the NSA, which he is not down for at all morally, so I'm sure that's going to be a thing down the line. Now, because he's the way he is, and when I say stalk, I do mean stalk, he hasn't been invited to some things like the baby shower. He literally hacks into her computer to watch conversations that she's having with the Amazon guy. But she is apparently a biologist working in medicine. She specifically created some kind of like cannibal DNA thing that would eradicate cancers and other illnesses from the body by just making it eat itself, which is super neat if they could actually find a way to do that. But the way that he's completely violating all of her privacy and free will and just general human rights is never properly addressed in the movie. Now, I know what you're thinking. We are a little chunk of the way in here and there's no aliens or anything really happening. Don't worry, they're coming. He's tuning in on the cameras as the FBI and the DHS are busting into the Disruptor's apartment, specifically saying that they can't let the information he wants to leak about Goliath out. Now remember that detail, he literally says,
Disruptor is trying to reveal a top secret program called Goliath, and that file must not go out.
So again, the head of DHS is confirming that it exists right now on a call with Ice Cube. Also note that the DHS director is Clark Gregg, so he's really just stuck on those government jobs.
Just call us S.H.I.E.L.D.
Also, in the background of this, because you will notice there's always usually like 5 things happening on a screen at the same time, the NASA lady is still popping up stuff about crazy storms and wondering if it's the government doing anything wacky, like the Spy Guys. But alas, no, it's just real weather stuff, and I don't know why people aren't more concerned. So either way, they are going through this apartment, and the thing I don't understand is that they literally acknowledge that he could be watching them through the security cameras in the building, and they decide to pick the lock instead of kicking down the door when, again, if he was there, he could be watching them, and you're now giving him time to either prep and escape or do something to you. But of course, this is an empty apartment, a decoy location. They're even like, oh my god, again? Like, what made you think this time was different when suddenly that storm, it's going crazy. It's not just a storm anymore. There are meteors crashing down all around the world. A school gets blown up in, I believe, Tijuana. At one point, a meteor hits really close to Ice Cube's building, and it's just showing him spilling his coffee, and I know it's just him like shaking around like this because it all looks so fake. He is not in a room with anything behind him. This is like a green box, and he's just like just shaking around all by himself. But yeah, people are getting fucked up. He tries calling his daughter first. I get that it's because she's pregnant, but definitely some favoritism going on here. She's not answering, so he takes some more time to look in on what's happening around the world, and my god, the special effects are so bad. Even Ice Cube can't believe how bad they are. Look, I didn't expect the effects to be fantastic or anything, but they're particularly shitty even for something that's being fed to us through a video feed, meaning that there are plenty of ways to hide your lack of budget. Now, based on everything that's happening, I expected him to have to go offline a lot faster, but no, at one point some messages stop going in and out, but then they are right back up and it's never really an issue again unless they need like a minor inconvenience. Honestly, everything in this movie is really just a minor inconvenience. They will build it up as a huge disaster, but then they will have it solved in under a minute. So the world is literally falling apart, but he takes some time to like look at the security cameras at Faith's office, and thankfully he sees her in the lab, so he sends the Amazon delivery daddy to go get her in his Amazon van. It doesn't matter that the entire world is getting blown up, that Amazon delivery driver's always on time. Honestly, you probably should call the other kid first because he's the one who's on the street right now. Thankfully though, even he, after a near meteor hit, is fine. So as I'm sure many of you are expecting, some of these are not meteors, they are the aliens they're what the aliens are going to come out of. And we're getting a nice little close-up of this starting to happen, with an alien starting to emerge from the NASA lady, who after this I assumed had to be dead, but no, she won't be. So yeah, we got alien mech starting to emerge. We gotta mobilize the planet. Apparently Ice Cube is in charge of the threat analysis. He's a busy boy. I will say the aliens are a pretty cool design. Obviously pretty intense, but what does Mr. Cube have to say about it all?
God damn. Oh my God.
I just can't take him seriously. We're barely scratching the surface. This whole section is comedy gold. At least at this point in the movie, things are staying pretty fast-paced. We're really moving along. It's right about now that his son calls and is desperately trying to give him information about everything happening right now. That he knows something about this situation, but Ice just won't listen. So it was here that I was pretty sure that his son was Disruptor. You know, he's already mentioned that, hey, you're so good with computers, you're so smart at all this stuff and looking things up, you should work for the NSA. Morally, he doesn't want to work for the NSA. The opposite of that, Disruptor. Yeah, whatever information he has, he's not going to try any harder to get Daddy on his side. So we are back with the FBI lady getting murked.
Oh, get out of there! Sheila!
Look, I get that he's technically on the phone with her, but it does just sound like he's screaming at a computer screen at people that can't hear him from the street. But yeah, she's dead, fully vaporized.
Oh my God.
I can't get over how sincerely he's trying to deliver all these lines, and they're just so terrible. Again, this is at least entertaining. He's trying so hard, and I don't think someone who would actually be delivering this sincere in a way that felt like it was being delivered sincere would actually help, so it's probably better that we just have Ice Cube. Please don't shoot me, Mr. Ice Cube. I love you in so many things, and I hope they gave you so much money for this. So these aliens, as expected, are starting to systematically take out global infrastructure. I'm talking power grids, military locations, water sources, railways, and of course, intelligence outposts. Ice Cube still got plenty of power though, right in DC. Good for him. Now it's right around here we take a little detour for him to save his daughter, who is trying to leave her office before Buddy gets there to save her. She ends up attacked by one of these things, somehow survives, but ends up with like a big metal rod in her leg. Ice Cube makes the very stupid choice to try to call 911 as if that would be a thing right now with all the other emergencies, and he's locked in his building and can't get to her. And because no one else can get there to her fast enough, he hacks a Tesla and chariots her away to some DHS field location or something where they theoretically should have doctors, but apparently they don't. That wasn't the idea at all. It was just to get her off the street. And this is when he thinks it would be a good idea to talk about why he understands that she wouldn't want him at her baby shower. And we don't get too far into this conversation because he realizes that everything's running out of battery, so he goes into like low power everything mode to conserve it and just starts writing her an email when the NASA lady calls back. Thankfully, she is still alive and points out that all this was planned. The storms were used to prevent intelligence agencies and NASA and all those space things from being able to warn anybody things were coming. They used the meteors to start taking out some satellites. So this is when Radford, that's Ice Cube, comes in with his suggestions from DHS as the attack strategy, and we get the president saying,
I see no other option to initiate this war of the worlds.
They said the thing! So we're having a big old humanity ooh-rah, the whole world's coming together, the US gets the first confirmed kill, it's all so fun.
Got him! Got him!
Just Ice Cube out here watching this like it's a sports game instead of, I don't know, doing something more useful with the time he has. Like, I don't know, maybe trying to figure out why they're even here. Like he's literally ignoring the NASA lady who's trying to fill him in on how they're behaving to check in on his daughter. And I get that, a lot of people would do that. If I had a daughter, I'd probably do that too, but I don't know, maybe multitask. You had time to give him some games. But no, the family drama is the heart of this movie. This is a man learning that he can't control everything, and his desire to do so is going to lose him the family he's so desperate to protect. Again, done better in science. God, even the dead wife was done better in science. Either way, his ultra genius biologist, specifically working in medicine, daughter is also kind of a dumbass because she wants to pull this metal rod out of her leg, which is literally the #1 thing you never want to do when you're impaled until you've reached medical personnel. She's a genius that might be on the verge of curing cancer, but doesn't know basic first aid. Cool. Whatever, the news reporters that are squawking off in the background are actually kind of giving us better information, pointing out that the aliens all seem to be moving towards predetermined locations, sometimes using a form of echolocation, specifically tracking down massive data sensors, so it makes sense that they'd be looking for those, and it fits nicely with the other side of the story with the Disruptor and all the information that's out there. Speaking of which, that's when the son pops up to try to explain himself again, trying to convince his dad that the government also conceals things from him even though he's the top dog DHS guy. Once again, trying to fill him in on Goliath, to which Ice Cube responds,
That's fake news.
Think about it.
Sir, you were on a call with the director of the DHS who specifically said the information about Goliath could not be allowed to leak. He literally confirmed its existence in a phone call with you 20 minutes ago. This is so stupid. If it didn't exist and the disruptor had no actual information, what was the point of trying to track him down? Whatever, Goliath is apparently a network of secret satellites that's just collecting literally every piece of data from everyone all the time, all around the world, and they're just storing it underground somewhere on the East Coast. And his son specifically saying that the aliens are absolutely after this information, and ICE for some reason still will not listen to this kid, even though he immediately acknowledges that the aliens are targeting data centers. Like, we already know this. Oh my god, how are you the guy of government surveillance? You can't even put the pieces of information in your brain together. And yeah, they immediately see that the aliens that have gone to these data centers have sent these like tendrils inside them to just obviously absorb the data, but they really need to like drive that home. Like, they show us that there's all these little robot things that aren't just copying the data, but emptying it. They're eating it. Which leads to a full military collapse. All those military vehicles getting hacked.
Oh, no.
I don't know what he's looking at to react to this stuff, but my god. So they gotta go back to the good old days of manual warfare, which not going great. And once again, in the midst of all this chaos, when the NASA lady's trying to call and give him more information, we are back with the daughter, who pulled the damn thing out of her leg, so now she's bleeding out. But don't worry, guys, don't worry. Amazon Daddy is here with a tape gun to patch her up.
Trust me. I'm a pro.
Oh my god. Look, the Amazon delivery drivers who bring things to my door so I don't have to leave my house are absolutely heroes, but not like this. Anyways, they now pretend that they're having some big revelation that the attacks were all a diversion to get the data, which I thought we already realized that like 5 to 10 minutes ago when they started targeting the data centers, but okay. It's sad to know that there are in fact people in very high-ranking positions that would be this stupid. Whatever, once again, things are just going to shit. We got navigation systems down, GPS, everything except for news stations and the internet, apparently. They literally say because the navigation systems are down, like in-air planes can't land, as if like pilots... I get that maybe you wouldn't have the safest landing, it might be a little bit rough, but I don't think the pilot would just suddenly be flying sideways. And also, you know that the internet and cell phone reception would have been some of the first things to get knocked out, but that would have made this movie a little bit hard to play out. But yeah, they just keep really harping on how important all this data is to us and what would happen if something wiped it all out, but there's really just no time to ponder on that because his Facebook memories are being deleted. Which, yeah, that's sad. He's losing all the audio recordings from his wife. I do love that Facebook is being emptied, but was still able to send out the notification that his memories were being deleted, but it's fine. But now we're back with the disruptor and his live stream where he's going over the fact that the government absolutely knew about these aliens and the fact that they feed on data and that they'd specifically be coming here for our data and still chose to launch the Goliath program knowing it would lead to this type of attack. And once Goliath is consumed, Earth will be knocked back to the Stone Age. But if the aliens already have access to all the data centers of the world and they have access to all the public information because they're just eating people's Facebook memories, and they already mentioned that all the banking information's been wiped and everything's just getting pulled down, like wouldn't we already be pretty well back in the Stone Age once this ended? At this point, the internet in general is still on for some reason and YouTube has apparently been spared the full data loss so far, but if things played out logically here, their ability to gather Earth's data is essentially Goliath itself. Like, once it absorbs everything else in the world, it'll already have all the information that Goliath has accumulated, so it kind of makes Goliath unnecessary. Like, I get that it might still want to eat it because it's just hungry for more information, even if it's like some duplicate stuff, but I just feel like we should be more concerned about the regular data being eaten too. But whatever, ICE is too busy realizing that Disruptor is obviously his son by playing around with the voice pitch.
It's you! It's you!
Wow, you are so bad at your job, Mr. Cube. So now it's time for a family team up, but not immediately. You know, the kid sends him all the information that he has on Goliath, and he still doesn't want to look at them, but then finally does, and realizes that, yeah, the government knew all about these aliens all the way back in 1948. And this is where we start getting that incredible voiceover work because they don't think people are going to be looking at the screen to read what's up there.
They knew. They knew, and they hid it from us.
It's just so very dumb. It's like if you leave your character standing too long in a video game and it just starts like NPC narrating things because it thinks that like maybe you forgot what you had to do. That's what all this feels like.
Oh, man. That's what brought them here in the first place.
He even seems surprised when he sees that Briggs is involved in all this, but like, no shit, buddy. He is the head of the DHS, and he specifically said that the Goliath files could not leak. Oh my god. But yeah, the guy just wanted full control. He launched it even when he was advised against doing it, and Goliath is apparently underground just beneath the building that ICE is in right now.
Y'all know all about Goliath.
Wow.
Again, the thing that he confirmed the existence of to you this very day. It's just dumb. And like Briggs is like, hey, surveillance system is how I protect humanity. Just ignore all the aliens killing humanity. But we're just gonna blow up the building you're in so they can't get to Goliath, and that'll just save everything. Bold strategy, but again, they are giant aliens with tendrils and tiny bugs, and you think that they can't just get 40 feet underground with a little bit of gumption? Also, it's a super dumb play to expose what you know to the DHS director, because obviously he's gonna remove all your security clearance. Thankfully, his kid just conveniently knows how to override all this and instantly gets him his access back. Fucking barely an inconvenience.
Touchdown. Touchdown.
Who wrote these lines? But whatever, new plan, they're going to infect the data centers with a virus so that when the aliens start eating it, they get infected, and Dave's got a full team of disruptors to help with it. The Mr. Will Ice Cube here can just casually erase all their records of involvement in crimes. That's neat. Also, I just got to point out that before they infect the data, Ice uploads a video to the Disruptor YouTube channel because, again, YouTube is somehow still up and running. But the password that Dave made for that account was just Erica 2020. The mom's name and 2020. I don't even think Google will let you make a password that basic, and this is supposed to be a renowned hacker? Jesus Christ, the government would have been inside that account in a day. Fucking whatever, the video was to tell people what the government's been up to, but I'd probably focus on taking out the aliens first. But Will even exposes his identity in the video, I guess to give it legitimacy? But whatever, they launch the virus, which seems to be working at first, but then the aliens just reverse it back at them, which lets them find the people who launched the virus, and they can also apparently use it to find Goliath somehow, the aliens just blow up all the disruptors, including Will's son. Except actually not at all. He'd just been bouncing his signal, so he wasn't even in the house that got blown up. Now, there's two issues I have with this. One, wouldn't the other members have also been doing this? And two, wouldn't the aliens have been smart enough to work around that? Whatever, kid's fine and just totally unbothered that his friends just all got blown up. So, new plan. They are going to find a way to upload the daughter's DNA cannibal code thing to Goliath to make the aliens eat themselves when they go for the data, because they realize that the alien bug things are hybrid organisms. They're like biomech. And they are on a tight timer because they're about to blow up the DHS building. So all this might end up being a suicide mission for Will. If he doesn't get blown up by fighter pilots, the aliens might consume him trying to get to the data. So he keeps writing that email he started, but he now thinks to add Dave to, loving father that he is. She's basically apologizing for being the way he's been since their mom died. And again, I do not care. Now, here's where Amazon comes back to save the day. You thought it was just a tape thing, but oh no. They need to put the code on a thumb drive, something that is very much not allowed inside a DHS building, so Will doesn't have one. So Mark is going to Amazon drone deliver it to him.
Oh, it's the future of delivery.
Oh my god! And there are some mild inconveniences to the drone, like it gets flipped over at one point and they have to pay the guy to get it flipped the right way again with a $1,000 Amazon gift card. They literally just can't let it go. Dude's fighting for his life out here and he's still checking his cell phone? But yeah, they've got everyone involved here. You got Dave running alien cover, Faith's navigating the dad through the DHS building, NASA lady's just watching. But hey, she does at least notice that a bunch of the aliens have now made it to the outside of this building and are just busting their way in.
Move, bitch! Get out the way!
Of course they found a way to work that in. What am I watching? But with some mild inconveniences, they get that cannibal code uploaded potentially just as the aliens are starting to consume Will to get to that data, but the code works instantly and they all just drop dead around the world. So then the bombers end up getting aborted last second, but then it cuts us to the email that he wrote to his kids being narrated, making it seem like Mr. Cube is dead, but of course not. They don't even make us wait too long. He picks up a call from the secretary who's asking him to run their new surveillance program that doesn't violate people's privacy, which Will turns down. He says he's going to spend his time watching the government now. But if you were in charge of the government systems, you could work from the inside to make sure they're not actually doing anything they're not supposed to be doing, but whatever, he's a family man now. So yes, again, Amazon literally saves the day in this movie. They even end it with a blooper, not actual blooper, of Mark driving the delivery truck just to make sure you don't forget that Amazon saved the day. They also end up using some variation of all to see what's in people's Amazon carts twice in this movie. They will not let you forget their involvement in this project, which on the one hand is absurd, and on the other hand, we know exactly who to blame. But yeah, that's the movie, if you want to call it that. It is certainly an experience. I'll say the focus on data protection is a little bit wild, considering Amazon is absolutely using the data from all your shopping and purchases to create a robust profile about all of us, and we just have to be okay with that. Yeah, let me know what you guys are thinking. Did you love this? Did you hate it? Or were you kind of like me, where you're like, this is so bad, but it's also so funny. I'm having a great time with how bad this is. I know know the weapons just came out, and a lot of people were expecting a video on that, but I think I'm just gonna wait for the digital release. There's so little to work with in the trailers. I would have felt really bad having to get my editor to make a video around that. I do recommend it. Also, Freakier Friday is pretty cute if you have an attachment to the original and want to see something with your mom. But that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and thanks as always to my Patreon supporters and YouTube channel members, and to Incogni for sponsoring the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, leave a like on the video if you're into that kind of thing. All my other social medias are listed down below. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. I'm mostly okay, and we'll catch you all later.